Welcome to everybody watching on webcam. I understand the last council meeting had 430 viewers, so let's hope we've got as many this time. Firstly, I'll be calling for apologies, and there being no apologies, we'll move straight into agenda item number one. Agenda item number one is the confirmation of the council minutes as to correctness, which was held on October the 26th by all of us present. That will take you in your agenda, the pink pages from 1/1 to 1/6. So firstly, are there any amendments? As to spelling mistakes or factual information? There being none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please, that these minutes are correct? Moved Councillor Kirk, seconded Councillor Hickling. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Being none, carried. Any matters arising or discussion resulting from these minutes? Okay, being no matters arising, we'll move to item number two, which was the Turangi-Tongariro Community Board minutes held on the 27th of October 2010. Are there any amendments for noting? Because we can only note amendments if there are any amendments to these, because it's for that committee when it reconvenes at the next time to do its own amendments. Are there any amendments to be noted? Being none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
Just a point, Chairman, Rick, both Councillor Henderson and myself were ditto invited guests. Are we able to move these?
If you are present, yes.
So moved.
Moved Councillor Kepper. Seconded. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Henderson. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Any matters arising or discussion from the Turangi-Tongariro Community Board minutes? They take you through to page 2/5 in the white papers. None. We will move on to agenda item number 3, governance for the incoming council. Ms McLeod, you or Helen, welcome.
I'll hand straight over to Ms Gilbert.
Ms Gilbert?
Yep.
Ms Gilbert, item number 3, thank you.
Good afternoon. I've discussed with this item with you in the past. The proposal is that the incoming council adopts a new governance structure. The paper in front of you talks about how the previous model works and assesses that against some criteria for good governance, and then moves on to propose a whole of council model and assesses that against some criteria for good governance. The principal differences would mean that the TKMP committee and its subcommittees, the Victoria Development Subcommittee, the OD Park Subcommittee and the Mangakino Pouakani subcommittees would no longer exist. The other big change would be to the Regulatory and Hearings Committee. It's proposed that actually Council adopt the having a Hearings Commission using RMA qualified commissioners. That councillors would be trained to join that commission. I understand that Councillor Downard already has that qualification. And then noticing that because the MP subcommittee would be abolished, proposed that we create a representative group that is essentially like the current MP subcommittee, but that then would become a standing committee of council. The special committees and joint committees, because they obviously operate under very particular rules, would continue to function. You have a proposal, a suggested resolution there that you adopt the structure outlined in the paper, and you would also need to formally reconstitute those council committees.
Okay. Any questions or discussions therein? No? Been fairly thoroughly workshopped this morning, so we're all on a good understanding. I'm only repeating what Ms Gilbert said, but Mangakino Subcommittee still exists. It just reports direct to council rather than to TKMP and then to council. So it does still exist, and committees as we need them we will be forming when they have projects in mind and specific duties to perform, which will report directly to your council. So is anybody, Councillor Downard?
I leave the suggested resolution.
We have a mover, Councillor Downard, for the suggested resolution that I think it's fair that I should probably read. That is the whole resolution you're moving, Councillor Downard?
Yeah.
Number 1, that the whole of council governance structure outlined in the corporate planning manager's paper of 9 November 2010 be adopted. 2, that the following committees be reconstituted from the former council structure. Rugby World Cup 2011 Special Committee, Emergency Management Special Committee, Code of Conduct Committee, Performance Monitoring Group, Taupo Airport Authority. Move Councillor Downard. Do we have a seconder? Seconder Councillor Williams. All those in favour? Aye. So carried. Thank you very much. Moving now to item number 4. Ms McLeod, Ms Gilbert again. Thank you, Ms Gilbert.
Thank you. Incoming council needs to make a decision about and adopt a remuneration policy for the remuneration of elected members. The paper backgrounds for you the process by which that happens. The Remuneration Authority in Wellington each year sets a pool or an indicative pool of money for each council to try and get some fairness between councils. They base that on population, on expenditure and on the assets of the council. The Remuneration Authority also then sets the salary for the mayor so that that is set externally. And then the council at this stage then must go through a process of basically adopting a proposed remuneration model. It would then need to consult with the community board on that model, and then when it's made its final decision, it then advises the Remuneration Authority about the remuneration model it wants to adopt. The RA will then consider the proposal and in all likelihood would then come back and approve it, at which point it becomes formal policy for council. There are some technical issues around what happens with that pool. It doesn't include allowances and reimbursement of expenses. It doesn't include meeting fees for resource consent hearings. Those are funded through a different mechanism. And it doesn't include any salaries or fees that may be paid to appointed members of any council organisations or council committees. So if council appoints somebody else, not an elected member, it doesn't cover any of that. You should also note that only 50% of community board remuneration comes from this pool, and the other 50% for this district would come from the TT rating area. We've talked about a couple of options. The two principal options are salary only or salary plus meeting fees. We note that the previous council used a mixture of salary and meeting fees, and this had some strengths and weaknesses which have been outlined in this paper. But also note that most councils are moving towards a salary-only model, and I've proposed a salary-only splits, if you like, of the indicative pool that's included in this paper. However, I would ask you to note that there are some technical amendments to the paper in relation to the formulas. The actual salary indications remain the same, but the formula for councillors ceases to be 35.38%, and is in fact 34.793%. And the community board ratio, and then the pool weightings, the third column on page 4 bar 2, the pool weightings, I'm sorry that you've been given the wrong figures here, and that is my fault. However, they should be for councillors 3.479, for deputy mayor 0.15, for community board 0.774, and for the community board chair 0.081. If you adopt the suggested resolution, then that enables these pool weightings can be used whenever the total amount of money increases. This formula will enable the same proportions of salaries to be then applied to the new sum.
Okay, got any discussion or questions regarding this? Again, this has been fairly well workshopped. Just to do a short recap on that, there is a pool of money allocated for salaries and what have you. You can't do anything about the mayoral salary, that is already set in stone. So this is working out a system where the pie is divided up equally, relating to the responsibilities that you may or may not have, rather than the last system we had in the last term of meeting fees and what have you. So Any more discussion or comments there? Councillor Hickling?
I'll move the suggested resolution, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Would it be prudent of me to read this suggested resolution? Should be read.
It can be taken as read if you
Okay,
wish.
it's quite a long one, isn't it?
It is quite a long resolution.
Well, could we take the resolution as read in the agenda? Move Councillor Hickling.
With amendments.
With amendments.
With amendments, yeah.
And seconded by Councillor Johnson. All those in favour? So carried. Thank you very much.